So I think we should start now. A very good evening to one and all present here. I, Komal Pandya, very happily welcome you all to first session of the lecture series Experts Talk, presented by MetaBlog. So today we have with us Professor Vaibhav Khatavkar. He is from Computer Department and he will be delivering a talk on natural language processing. So let me give you a brief introduction about Professor Khatavkar. He has got masters in computer science and he's having 11 years of teaching experience and 5 years of research experience, and he has also guided 80 plus MTech, BTech and PhD students. And his main research areas are machine learning, natural language processing, natural language understanding, and he has got 25 plus research projects and publications. So some of which are automated and efficient remote location monitoring using machine learning and deep learning, multimodal sentiment analysis of nursery rhymes for behavior improvement of children, also cricket player evaluation using statistical analysis. And currently he is working on the projects of wireless networks IDS, which is AICT sponsored research proposal, machine learning approaches in IDS, and natural language understanding. So sir, now let me hand over to you.
Thanks a lot, Komal. I first of all thank all of you guys to invite me for this session. And during the gap, am I audible clearly?
Yes sir, you're clearly
Yes.
audible.
Thanks a lot. So I was very happy to see that many of non-computer and IT guys are present in this session. So thanks a lot for showing interest in natural language processing, and I hope that today's session uh, you would find rather this as a very good research opportunity. And today I would be focusing more on the research areas that you can have in natural language processing. And if you find this interesting, feel free to work on it. I will tell you how to work in natural language processing. So shall we start with the presentation?
Yes sir, you can start.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so she has given me 45 minutes, so I will stick to my timing because your time is also precious. So I will today talk on what are various NLP tasks, what are various NLP applications, and how to go for a research in NLP. If you want to really work in NLP domain, then how you should have your approach. And I can see that many of you are from COEP, so this will be a very enlightening session for you. When we talk about NLP, the first point that you should notice in NLP is that you will not get any ready-made things on internet. You will get some tutorials, you will get some handbooks, but you will not get ready-made material as you get for other topics in computers. You can have some good books, but many of the novel ideas, the ideas on which the engineer should work, these ideas you will get from the NLP research community. And I will be talking more on NLP research community, how to get access to research community. So the very first thing that you should go through is various papers. ACL Anthology is a very good group of research in NLP, and it has almost 60,000 papers, and all of them are freely available. Even from your home you can access them, no need to come in COEP. And on this website, what you can do, as you do some Google search on internet, similarly you can find some text. You can search the research topics on ACL Anthology, and after searching you can find out which of the research papers are highly cited, which of them are recently cited, and many of you might be aware of Google Scholar. So on Google Scholar you can follow a particular researcher, a scholar. Similarly on ACL Anthology you can also follow the citations. So it is good idea to follow the citations which are present. And also ACL Anthology gives you the data set which are to be used in projects. So analyzing the text for papers, parsing it, then you can also have various data sets which extract graph about papers, about authors and institutes, and this graph will tell you about who has written this project, who has worked, where he has worked, in which cities the NLP research community is present, and so on. And this will be obviously useful for your higher studies. I know that many of the graduate students from COEP, they go for post graduation, and the key point is to select an institute. So based on this data, the research paper data, you can select where you have to go for research in NLP. Suppose you are working in the NLP domain, then there are some conferences, and these conferences are typically having 3 blind reviewers, and these these conferences can have maximum up to 9 pages. These are very good conferences. Some of them are listed over here like ACL, EM-NLP and NAACL. And in these conferences, basically you have the research community coming together, and after coming together they talk on their innovative projects, and they also have some hands-on sessions. So you can attend such type of hands-on sessions. One of the big event which happened last year was ACL 2020, and this is the statistics. And if you really look at the statistics, then very genuine papers are published in these conferences. And for NLP domain, conferences are very important. In conferences you can work around with those topics. Like one very good idea is to shortlist the best paper. The best paper awards are given for each of the track, and you can read these papers in order to develop your skills. Some of the other chit chats that happen around are like ARXIV papers. You might be aware, even for your domain, the papers are available on ARXIV. This ARXIV is a website where you will be getting the papers free of cost, and these are typically the papers which are not published, and pre-published edition is available over here. Many a times following good tweets is also important in NLP. Like I am being following Google NLP research group, and they usually talk about how the Google search engine works and how NLP is used in Google. So Google Highlight podcast and NLP newsletters will also help you to develop your NLP skills. Some institutions which are dedicatedly having 2 or more than 2 faculty which work in the domain of NLP. Like I am happy to share with you that in our college, I myself am working on NLP, and we have Professor Haribhakta ma'am. She is also working in the domain of NLP. And other than that, we have many big players into the domain of NLP. Like you might have heard about Andrew Ng. Andrew Ng is a very good orator and a very good faculty, and he is also working in the domain of NLP. You can also go through his lectures. And also there are some faculty who work in linguistics, who work in cognitive science, machine learning and AI, and they are also having some or the other relationship with the NLP domain. there are some companies like AT&T and Bell Labs. They primarily worked on development of a programming language. You might get surprised after hearing that development of a programming language is also a part of natural language processing. AT&T Bell Lab is working into development of various programming languages, various parsers and so on. Even IBM is not behind in development of compilers. But the evolution of programming language, development of compilers, this was in olden days, and nowadays we have big giants like Facebook, Google, Microsoft and Amazon who are working in the domain of natural language processing, and there are many startups which work into NLP. Some of them, they work into speech, they work into machine translation. There are markets into online reviews, medical transcriptions, news summarization, reading legal documents, searching them and discovering new facts from the legal documents. So this has a wide impact on the research community. When you want to do NLP research, or if you want to do your career in NLP, then what you should do, you should first find out what problem you want to solve and how you want to measure the progress. And if you are not able to solve, suppose you are not a computer engineer, you are not expert in NLP, but what you can do, you can float a problem, you can ask the other people to work on it, and in order to float such type of problem, you should first provide test data for evaluating the final system. You should provide development data for measuring whether a change to the system helps, or for tuning parameters, what should be the data. The evaluation matrix, you should tell that how the test data and development data are to be evaluated, how they are to be measured. And in order to measure, you will have to write down a standard program that will get executed on the submissions that you are getting. And you should also provide a labeled training data and other resources that are needed with respect to your specific problem. And if possible, you can declare what prize you will be giving to the competents. Like you can provide a dashboard. On that dashboard you can display the names of competitors and so on. I really remember that during last year when we faced this pandemic and lockdown situation, at that time there was a research group in the domain of NLP, and they broadcasted a task of identifying COVID trend across the globe, whether the trend is in Maharashtra, what the trend is in India, what is the trend of COVID, how the patients are falling sick, because of what they are falling sick, what they are talking. And this trend was analyzed using the statistics available at WHO, and also they have been analyzing Twitter data, and this was given as a standard task by the NLP research community. So such type of task, at least you can float on you, or you can participate in that task. And for research, you really need some good softwares, and what you can do, you can go on GitHub, you can go on Sci-Hub. On GitHub you can find out various codes, you can download those codes, you can clone the codes, and then you can play around with it. If the code is not available, you can ask the researcher about their code and they will happily give you the code. There are some softwares which are available along with papers, like paperswithcode.com. This website will give you the papers along with the code. You can also search for awesome NLP, and it will give you some good websites about NLP. When we are talking about text analysis, which is one of the part of natural language processing, then what you can do, you can have one-stop shopping, like you can have a product and your job is done, or you can have a program which will do cleanup, which will do tokenization, which will study morphology, tagging, parsing and so on. Such type of softwares are available. Like if you talk about Spacy, UDPipe, Stanza, Core NLP, these are packages available in Python and as well as in Java for natural language processing. The very primitive or very easy package available in Python is NLTK. In our course, we usually start with NLTK, and as the student progresses, he will use other good packages. NLTK is easy for beginners and it is available with free books. For NLP, what you can do, you can find out good and popular tools. You can search them in papers. You can ask around to your friends. You can also use web. Like I have seen a tool called as TextRaiser. TextRaiser tool will give you everything about the text. It will tell you what are various nouns inside the text, what are various phrases inside the text, what are various entities present inside the text, and so on. So you can search around some tools. Now it usually happens that, sir, I have seen many tools, but which tool I should use? Which is the best tool for your job, for my job? So what you will be taking, you will be taking which the tool which produces appropriate or sufficiently detailed output is good for you, or you will also check for accuracy, you will also check for robustness, you will check which one is fast, which one is easy and flexible to use, which tool will give you visualization very nicely, which can handle all types of formats. Like many of you present over here are from metallurgy background, so it might happen that you are taking readings from a microscope or you are taking readings from some device, and it is you have to process the file format which is there for that device. And if my standard method is not supporting it, if the tool is not supporting it, then you will not use it at all. So such things should not happen with the tool that you are selecting. Also, you should think about if you want to change the data, if you want to change the language, if you have developed it for English language and now you want to support it for Marathi, it should support, how fast and how slow it is for training. And obviously you will have to think about whether the software is open source software and it is easy to extend, or it is a proprietary software. In NLP, typically we think around data sets, whether the data set is a raw data set or it is a speech corpora. We have to think whether it is a raw text, lines are written in sentences, or we have metadata like n-grams, bigrams or diagrams are present. Sometimes the genre of movies are also written inside the data set. Sometimes only document metadata like document date, author is written inside the data set. So we have to decide which data we have to use. Sometimes we will have to purchase the proprietary data. We will have to get the data from the particular agency. And many a times in NLP we face for the data which is annotated, and this annotation can be like naming or labeling the data that you have. You will have to label it as true or false, you will have to label it as positive and negative, spam or not spam. So initially for the raw data you will have to create manual or automatic annotations. Some datasets also have morphological, semantic, transactional and evolutionary relationships. Like one best example is dictionary. Dictionary has a ontological relationship between words. Like you have a word and then you have a meaning. You have forms of word, whether it is noun or verb or what. So this becomes your data set. This is typically used in NLP. Sometimes grammar and word at last for linguistic structures is also used. If you want to read more about data and data set for NLP, you can go through Linguistic Data Consortium. which is available on ldc.pen.edu website. You can just find out this by searching on internet. If you have any queries related to datasets, you can mail to Corpora mailing list or LRC conference. Here you can get more idea about dataset. I will just skip some of the slides. Suppose you want to write a good paper. After all, we are researchers, we are engineers, and we want that we should write a good paper in the domain of NLP. Then what things we need to write down? We need to write down what is the domain of inquiry, what problem we are trying to address, whether the problem is solvable or not, that we will determine in task by representing input and output. And we will also have an evaluation metric, and after that we will have what standard data, corpora, annotations, dictionaries we will be using. We will be designing the model, we will be training and testing the model, devising the algorithm, and then based on the algorithm we will make comparison to baselines and other systems. We will check for significance testing, learning curves, ablation analysis, and error analysis. And once this is written, you can have a very good typical paper in NLP. Sometimes papers are of other kind, like theoretical papers are there where formal grammar parsers are written, new error metrics are written, new task and resources, how they are designed, these are written. But you can go for writing a typical paper which consists of the domain inquiry, task, resources, training, testing, algorithm, and analysis of results. The typical task in NLP that we perform is to classify the entire document. Classification of entire document is typically called as text categorization. This is the good example of classification. Suppose you have this article. This article is a review article from Amazon. The title of the article is an extremely versatile machine. This has been published on November 22, 2006. And in this, we have to rate whether this article has to be given 1 star, 2 star, or 3 star. Then what features of text could we help to predict number of stars? So what we can have a machine learning model called as a log linear model, and using that we will decide to give some stars out of 5 stars. If we want to work around more, then what we can do, we can think about more features. Now let us take one example. It makes weak watery coffee. Now if we think about this sentence, then how a coffee will be weak? A person is weak, a living being is weak, but how can a coffee be weak? So this statement, there is something wrong with English over here. Or watery coffee. How can a coffee be watery? And if you are saying watery coffee, then what is meaning of this adjective weak and watery? So we can say that it makes weak watery coffee. This sentence is a sarcastic sentence. We will have to process this in a different fashion. So these are some challenges in categorization. The other task is like whether a mail is spam or not. For a particular visit, the medical billing code. What is the medical billing code? On online exams, you might have experienced you are writing answers and how they are graded. So NLP can be used for grading a particular essay question. You can also find out interesting to this particular user. You can filter out news, help desk routing, For NLP, you can also have various programs, like you can have skill classification for digital assistance. If the digital assistance is in Spanish, you will have to translate it in Spanish. If it's subjective, run the sentiment classifier. If it's an appointment, run information extraction. If you get a particular file in your mailbox, then you will have to put it at the appropriate place in a particular folder. And if you name the folder as work, friend, junk, urgent, and so on, then your job is to categorize these files into particular folders. Based on accuracy, you will decide which system you have to prefer. Suppose now you have two systems, system 1 and system 2, with overall accuracy as 95%. It is same, but spam accuracy is 99.99 for system 1 and 90 for system 2. And accuracy for general classification is 90 and 99.99. Now in this case, which system you will prefer? You will have to take some decision. So for taking decision, two measuring performance metrics are used. One is called as precision and the another is called as recall. Precision is good messages are kept. Good messages means messages which are not spam are kept, divided by all messages which are kept. It might be a good or bad message. And recall is good messages divided by all good messages. If we take a ratio of these two entities, we will get recall and precision. If we draw this, we will get such type of curve. Now our thing is how to decide this curve, where to fit our system. If we keep high threshold, then it will be okay for search engines because we want high precision over here. But if we want to classify spam mail, then it is better to have low precision but high recall. But typically at this point, if you see 75% recall and 75% precision, then recall and precision are same. And typically we would like to lie in this patch. It is not too high, it is not too low. It should be plus minus 15 of 75%. So this becomes our acceptable region for a NLP system with respect to recall and precision. And how we should find this? We should find this point by using a new measurement metric called as F measure. F measure is typically precision inverse plus recall inverse by 2, the whole inverse. And we will have to optimize F measure, and we will have to tune the parameters of the system. Then when we think about the NLP systems, we have supervised learning methods, and we also have some methods like perceptron, SVM, and neural networks. So in log linear model of supervised methods, we calculate high probability of the answer, and then for testing data, the output is the highest probability of answer. While in case of perceptron, SVM, Mira, neural network, what do? We calculate some score based on scoring function, and the higher the score, we go towards the desired answer. Typically what till now, like many of the NLP researchers, they work in this domain. They will get the data and they will predict something yes or no. Beyond this, they will not go at all. Like for this, you need really patience and guts to move ahead. The second thing is to classify individual words. I will quickly run through. Like if I am saying about the company said the plant is still operating. Now here the plant word is there. The plant word, it can be either with respect to manufacturing or it can be with respect to living part, living plant. So I will have to categorize the word plant whether it is with respect to manufacturing or living. So based on the context in the sentence, I will train the system and I will build the classifier, and after that I will test the data. The same type of thing can be used for machine translation. The context of the sentences can be given as context, and it can be trained, the classifier can be trained, and then the translation is to be performed. Same can be done for accent and speech to text. Now suppose you have a sentence, the spelling, like the problem is, and he fired presidential aide. There are two spellings of aide, Dick Morris after. Now we want to have aide as correct aide, AID or AIDE. So based on word frequency, we can have which aid is used. Like for foreign, the frequency of AID is more, so I will be using foreign aid as foreign AID. If I want to write presidential aid, then I will be writing presidential AIDE, not AID. So this is the way how you have to handle. Some of the times the hidden Markov models are also used. Another classification technique is the POS tagging. Like you have words with you, and now instead of finding correct word, you have to find out what type of word it is, whether it is a noun, verb, a preposition or adjective or what. So you will have a sequence labeling, and in this fashion the sequence labeling will happen. This is called a sliding window. The window size is 3. Sometimes instead of sliding window, you can also use hidden Markov model. In hidden Markov model, if you are aware of hidden Markov, a hidden Markov process is used to identify probability of jumping from one word to the another word. We can also combine these two ideas to form a good POS tagger. So, this is basically forward classification which is used. In part of speech tagging, probability is used, the probabilistic approach is used, and sometimes maximum entropy Markov model is used. Will not go in details. Those who are interested, I will share the presentation with you, because hardly I have now 10 minutes with me. This is an interesting part of identifying phrases, which is also called as chunking. So suppose this is the news that has been given to you. Citing high fuel prices, United Airlines said Friday it has increased fares by $6 per round per trip, and so on. Now over here you can see that the highlighted parts are named entities from the text, and these named entities are very important in news. So these named entities are categorized as people, organization, location, geopolitical entity, facility, vehicles, and so on. What we can do, we can have an information extraction engine in which we can extract these name entities and we can store them in a particular database. A semantic web is another perspective of natural language processing. In semantic web, typically factual information or factual knowledge is represented in terms of graph. Graph theory is used to represent the facts, and this semantic web is very important because Google has coined a term called as knowledge graph, which is a semantic web used by Google to search a particular query. So nowadays this is in boom. So you can identify phrases from a particular text. This is the way how you identify, and this information extraction will be used in classified advertisements, restaurant reviews, bibliographic citations, appointment of emails, legal opinions, paper describing clinical medical studies, and so on. As I mentioned earlier that AT&T, Bell Labs, IBM, they were working into parser, the syntactic things are also considered over here. Like if this is a sentence, he reckons the current account deficit will narrow to 1.8 billion in September, then the first part that we will have to do is POS tag the sentence. We will have to identify preposition, verb, determinant, adjectives, nouns, and so on. And then we will have to find out the word dependency. How is the word dependency? We can resolve the word dependency, and then we can work around with various forms of words, and then we can find out the meaning of the particular word. And then we also have a very interesting part is semantic role labeling. Like the hammer broke the window. Now over here, the hammer broke the window. So who broke whom? The broke is a relation between hammer and window. So this labeling is very important. So in English, we have this called as semantic role labeling. So this is also part of natural language processing, and using dependency tree we can solve this. We can also think about various words, who ate who and who bought who. So this is typically used in question answering systems which are intelligent. Find answer to a user's question, who did what. WH questions are typically solved using this approach. So then another perspective or another point of natural language processing is generating a new text. Given old text entailment or generating new text is a very good area of research, where speech recognition, from the given speech you can recognize, and then you can have transcript for the text. You can have machine translation, you can convert one language to another language, you can generate text from the semantics, you can transliterate the words. Like sometimes it is very bad idea to translate it as it is, so you will have to find the meaning of a particular word in that local language. Like if I want to transliterate a word in Marathi, suppose I want to translate a word chapati from Marathi, then chapati will not be written as English chapati. Instead of writing it as English chapati, I can transliterate it into bread. Or the another translation process is like bread and butter. Now bread and butter is not, if you take literal meaning, it is bread and butter. But if I want to transliterate it into Marathi, then I will say that bread and butter means pota paण्याचे. Fine, so that we will have to consider in machine transliteration. We can also have single document and multiple document text summarization. Going into more depth of information extraction, we can have co-reference resolution, entity linking, event extraction and linking. We can like the way in which detective works. We can also have reading of documents, automation of documents, and extract events in a particular sequence and linking them together. This can be a very good project. Then knowledge-based population and recognizing text entailment are some other applications of the NLP systems. And these are the user interfaces that you usually see. These are dialogue systems, language teaching or writing help, question answering, and information retrieval systems. These are some multimodal approaches. Till now, I talked only about text, but sometimes sign languages, speeches, gestures, brain recordings, human reactions, captions, and images, these are considered into NLP domain also. These are some of the more advanced applications of NLP, like decipherment, grammar induction, topic modeling, deep learning of word meanings, natural language evolution, and grounded semantics. So this I have presented a very idea, a very big idea about natural language processing. So I think I will stop over here, and if you have any questions, I would like to discuss those questions and I would answer those questions to you. Any questions?
If you people have any questions, please type those in the chat box.
Shall I stop presentation or you want it?
Yes, sir, you can stop presenting.
Pratik, how to learn NLP? So for learning NLP, like before starting the lecture, like when I started with text categorization, before it I started into various research communities or research uh, things. So you can read various papers, you can think about implementation of those papers, and uh, you can go for first NLTK, go through NLTK, install NLTK on your systems, work around with NLTK, and after learning NLTK, you can go for more and more things. Like you can go for text categorization and text classification. Is it fine, Pratik? Thanks a lot. Then Saad Zamadar. Yes, please. Those who have raised
Yes,
your-
sir.
yes.
Sir, I think that there are few more questions. No.
I saw only question written by Pratik. That's why I have answered. Any prerequisite knowledge to learn NLP? So prerequisite would be you are good in English. You have passed fifth standard English, because you need to know about grammar of English. So this is one thing that you should have. And if you are asking about prerequisites related to programming, then I love Python. So I would recommend go for Python. There are some packages in Java as well, but still I will recommend you to go through Python. In Python, you can have NLTK, you can have sklearn, and using this, you can do whatever you want in NLP.
Sir, I had a question from my side. Like, what are the future prospects for NLP and sectors in which NLP can be very beneficial?
See, almost what is happening nowadays, uh, everyone is moving towards automation of their processes. In Industry 4.0, everyone is moving towards machine learning, AI, and robotics. So, almost in all sectors, we have prospectus for NLP. And if you are talking about specifically companies that hire NLP guys, then I have heard from my students that they are working on NLP projects. Like some of the banking companies, they are also working on automation of email processes and so on. So I can't name the companies directly. So I've just given clues of banking companies that our students are hired into. Does it answers your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And obviously Google, Facebook, Microsoft, these are the dream companies which are working into the domain of NLP. Any other question?
And yes, sir, I have one more question. Like, the artificial intelligence based softwares like Siri, Alexa, do they use NLP in them?
Yes, 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 yes. Siri and Alexa, because already I have said that text to speech and speech to text, whenever you are talking, you have voice signal, and this voice signal will be going into your computer and it will be translated from voice to frequency. You will generate some signal into computer, so you need some intelligence over there. Sometimes it is said that the processor also has some intelligence, or rather there is one project which is going on in IIT Guwahati. What they are doing, they have a grid of processors, and they are using machine learning to switch on and off the processors which are present at the intersection. And why they are doing so? Because they know that if you have a more large number of grid like this, then the computer will be heated very fast. If you have 8 cores on your computer, then you know that you need a AC for having the coolant. So you can have a machine learning system to manage such type of grid. You can have the machine learning algorithm which will supply the coolant inside the processor. So such type of intelligent works are also going on with the help of NLP, machine learning, and AI.
Okay, sir.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Sir, is the auto captioning of video can be possible with the help of NLP?
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. You can auto caption videos, you can auto caption images as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I think we are done with the questions. Sir. Lastly, I would like to thank you for your valuable presence at our experts talk and all the attendees who were present, also coordinators of Metablog and core team to arrange this beautiful and knowledgeful event. So thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot to all the organizers and to all my dear students to attend this session. And if you have any of the difficulty, you can write to me. I am available for my students. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.